You're at a red light. To your left is a brand new Mercedes GLE, black, tinted windows, dealer plates still on it. The driver looks about 34. Nice watch, confident posture. Everything about that car is communicating something. Success, arrival, the kind of financial ease that lets you spend $85,000 on something you park outside a grocery store. And something happens in your brain at that red light that you probably don't notice because it happens so fast. You compare, you calculate, you feel for approximately 4 seconds like you're behind, like that person figured something out that you haven't yet, like the car is evidence of something real about the gap between where they are and where you are. Here's what you didn't see. The $1,247 monthly payment, the $8,400 in interest they'll pay over the loan term, the $23,000 in value that car lost the moment it left the lot, the insurance premium that runs $340 a month because the zip code and the vehicle class combine to create a number that genuinely hurts every time the auto pay clears, the negative equity they'll be carrying in 18 months when the new model comes out and the itch to upgrade arrives right on schedule. You saw a car. You saw a story the car was telling. What you didn't see, what you were never supposed to see, is the financial structure underneath it. And that structure tells a completely different story than the one the Mercedes was broadcasting at that red light. My name is William, and today we're going through the full picture, the math, the psychology, the research, and the specific mechanism by which the car you drive either quietly builds your wealth or quietly drains it, one monthly payment at a time. What the research actually says about what wealthy people drive. Before we get into the math, let's establish what the data says about the relationship between car choice and actual wealth, because it is almost perfectly backward from what most people assume. The Ramsey Solutions study of over 10,000 millionaires, people with a net worth exceeding $1 million, found that 61% drove Hondas, Toyotas, or Fords, not as their second car, as their primary vehicle. The median amount paid for their most recent vehicle was $31,000, not financed over 84 months, paid. The median millionaire is driving a mid-range, reliable vehicle purchased at a price that represents a small fraction of their net worth. The follow-up question is obvious. Why? If they can afford the Mercedes, why are they driving the Camry? The answer is not that they don't appreciate nice things. It's that they understand, at a level most people never develop, the difference between what a car costs monthly and what a car costs totally. And they've made a deliberate calculation that the total cost of the impressive car is not worth what it produces in return. Meanwhile, a Federal Reserve analysis of luxury vehicle ownership found that a disproportionate share of luxury car buyers in America are carrying significant consumer debt simultaneously. The BMW in the driveway and the credit card balance in the kitchen drawer are more correlated than most people would intuitively expect, because both are symptoms of the same underlying behavioral pattern, prioritizing the signal over the substance. The car that looks like wealth and the car that builds wealth are frequently not the same vehicle. Understanding why requires understanding what a car actually costs, not the payment, the cost.
The real math of a car payment, not the monthly number, the total number. You already know that a car payment is expensive. What you probably haven't done is run the full 36-month or 60-month or 84-month number and then added everything around it. Let's do that now with a specific example so the math is impossible to dismiss as theoretical. You finance a new $52,000 SUV, which is close to the current average transaction price for a new vehicle in America. You put $5,000 down, you finance $47,000 on a 72-month loan at the current average new car interest rate of 6.37%. Your monthly payment lands at approximately $795. Over 72 months, you make total payments of $57,240 on a $47,000 loan. The interest alone is $10,240. That $10,240 bought you nothing. It is the pure cost of being allowed to borrow the money to buy the car. Now add depreciation. that $52,000 SUV loses approximately 20 to 25% of its value in year one. By the end of year 3, it has lost roughly 40%, meaning it's now worth approximately $31,200. You paid $52,000 for an asset currently worth $31,200, while owing approximately $35,000 on the loan. You are underwater. You own less than you owe on something that continues to decline in value every day you drive it. Now add insurance. A new $52,000 SUV in a mid-sized American city runs approximately $220 to $230 a month in comprehensive coverage because the lender requires full coverage for the life of the loan, and the vehicle's value dictates the premium. Call it $270 a month. Over 72 months, that's $19,440 in insurance payments. Now add maintenance. New vehicles under warranty have lower maintenance costs in the early years, but tires, 4 of them, replaced every 40 to 50,000 miles at $800 to $1,200 for a set on a larger vehicle, are not covered by warranty. Brake service, fluid changes, cabin filters, and the inevitable small repairs that appear around year 3 add up to approximately $1,500 to $2,500 over the loan term conservatively. Total cost of ownership across 72 months? Purchase price, $52,000, plus interest, $10,240, plus insurance, $19,440, plus maintenance, $2,000. Total, approximately $83,680 for a car now worth roughly $25,000 at the end of year 6. You spent $83,680 to own something worth $25,000. The gap, $58,680, is what that car actually cost you, beyond its current resale value. And that number appears nowhere on the window sticker, nowhere in the finance office, and nowhere in the monthly payment the salesperson circled on the calculator. The opportunity cost, the number that changes everything. The monthly payment calculation is the one the dealership wants you focused on. The opportunity cost calculation is the one they need you to never run. $795 a month for 72 months is $57,240 in direct loan payments. Add $270 a month in insurance for the same period, $19,440. Your total monthly outlay for this vehicle is approximately $1,065. Now run the alternative. You buy a 3-year-old version of a reliable mid-range vehicle, a Honda CR-V, a Toyota RAV4, a Mazda CX-5, for $24,000. You finance it on a 48-month loan at a slightly higher used car rate of 7.5%. Monthly payment, approximately $580. Insurance on a 3-year-old mid-range SUV runs approximately $140 a month. Total monthly outlay, $720. The monthly difference between the two scenarios is $345. Over 72 months, that's $24,840 in additional cash flow retained by the person who bought used. But here's where the math gets genuinely significant. After month 48, the used car is paid off. The new car still has 24 months of payments remaining. For those 24 months, the person who bought used has $720 a month freed up, the full payment plus insurance gone, while the new car buyer is still sending $1,065 to the lender. If the person who bought used redirects that $345 monthly difference into an index fund for month 1 and then redirects the full $580 payment after month 48, the invested total over 72 months at a 7% average annual return produces approximately $67,000. That is the opportunity cost of the new car purchase, not $52,000, not $57,240, $67,000 in foregone wealth, money that could have been compounding in your favor instead of funding a depreciation curve and an interest payment on an asset that was worth less than you owed on it from approximately month 4 onward.
Why people ignore this math?
The psychology is the real story. You just read numbers that make the case for the used reliable vehicle almost mathematically irrefutable, and you probably already know on some level that buying a more modest car is the financially superior decision in most circumstances. So why doesn't that knowledge change the behavior? Why do Americans collectively finance $600 billion in new vehicle purchases annually when the math consistently argues against it? The answer is not stupidity. It's not even irrationality in the technical sense. It's a specific psychological mechanism called signaling, the use of visible consumption to communicate status, success, and social position to the people around you. The car is not just transportation. It has never been just transportation in the American cultural context. It is the most visible, most mobile, most consistently observed signal of financial position that most people deploy on a daily basis. It sits in the work parking lot. It pulls up to the school. It occupies the driveway where neighbors and visitors can assess it. It is present at every social occasion involving travel. It is, for most Americans, the single most publicly visible financial decision they make. And the brain, which evolved in a social environment where status signals had survival implications, responds to that visibility in ways that override the logical case for the cheaper vehicle. The $795 monthly payment buys something beyond transportation. It buys the story the car tells at the red light. It buys the feeling of arrival in the school parking lot. It buys the version of yourself that the vehicle projects to the people around you, whose opinion, on some level, you have decided matters. The problem is that the audience for that signal is not paying as close attention as the spending assumes. Research on status perception consistently finds that observers spend significantly less time processing and remembering the vehicles of others than vehicle owners expect. The person who noticed your new car in the parking lot thought about it for approximately 40 seconds and then thought about their own life. The $67,000 in opportunity cost you paid for that 40 seconds of attention is a transaction the research suggests most people would decline if it were presented in those terms explicitly.
The industry traps that make the expensive car feel inevitable. Understanding why the math doesn't automatically change the behavior requires understanding the specific mechanisms the automotive and finance industries have built to make the expensive choice feel like the rational one. The monthly payment frame is the primary tool. By presenting the cost of a vehicle as a monthly number rather than a total number, the industry collapses an $83,680 6-year commitment into a $795 decision that gets mentally compared to other monthly expenses rather than to its true total cost. $795 a month sounds like a cable bill that got out of hand. $83,680 sounds like a second mortgage. They are the same number presented in ways designed to produce different emotional responses. The trade-in cycle is the secondary mechanism. By encouraging buyers to trade in their current vehicle every 3 to 4 years before the loan is paid off, while negative equity is frequently present, the industry ensures that the buyer never experiences the financial relief of owning a paid-off vehicle. The negative equity from the current loan rolls into the next one. The new payment resets, the cycle continues. The buyer perpetually carries a car payment the way a subscription perpetually renews, not because they actively chose to keep it, but because opting out requires a deliberate action that the system is designed to make feel like going without. The certification and warranty packaging on new vehicles is the third mechanism. By emphasizing the peace of mind of warranty coverage and bundling it with the new vehicle purchase, the industry creates a fear of used vehicles that the actual reliability data doesn't support. A 3-year-old Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4 is not a financial risk. It is a vehicle with its worst depreciation already absorbed, its reliability profile well documented by owner data, and its total cost of ownership significantly lower than the new equivalent. The warranty on the new vehicle protects against a risk that the used vehicle's track record suggests is unlikely, while costing tens of thousands of dollars more in purchase price and depreciation exposure. The millionaire next door habits. What the wealthy actually do differently. The research on self-made millionaire behavior around vehicles is consistent enough across multiple studies to constitute a reliable pattern rather than an interesting anecdote. They buy used, or they buy modestly new and hold long. The holding part is critical. The financial benefit of a paid-off vehicle is not just the absence of a payment, it's the compounding effect of redirecting what was the payment into wealth-building assets month after month for the years between payoff and replacement. A household that pays off a car and keeps it for 5 additional years while investing the former payment at historical market returns produces a dramatically different financial outcome than a household that immediately cycles into the next purchase and resets the payment. They treat the car as a tool rather than a trophy. This is not an absence of taste or an indifference to quality. It is a deliberate decoupling of self-worth from vehicle choice, a recognition that the people whose opinion genuinely matters to them are not forming that opinion based on what they park in the driveway. They calculate total cost of ownership before purchase rather than monthly payment affordability. The question is not, can I afford the payment? It is, what does this vehicle cost in total across the period I intend to own it? And is that total cost the best use of that capital relative to my other financial priorities? And they are remarkably unbothered by the red light comparison, not because they don't notice the Mercedes, but because they've run the math on the Mercedes and they know what's underneath the story it's telling. What to actually do with any of this? If you're currently in a car payment, the immediate move is not to sell the car, it's to stop the cycle from continuing automatically when the loan ends. The most expensive moment in most people's car ownership is the payoff, not because anything changes financially at that moment, but because the cash flow that was going to the lender suddenly becomes available and the industry is ready with a new model, a new offer, and a new payment that conveniently replaces the old one before you've had time to experience what no payment actually feels like. Experience it for at least 12 months after your car is paid off. Keep the car and redirect the former payment into an investment account. Not because you can never buy another car, because experiencing the compounding effect of that redirected cash flow for 12 months changes the calculation you make about the next vehicle in a way that no amount of financial content can replicate. If you're currently shopping, the framework is straightforward. Buy 2 to 3 years used after the worst appreciation has been absorbed by someone else. Finance on the shortest term you can manage without compressing your other financial priorities. Drive it past the point where anyone in the industry would prefer you upgrade, and calculate the total cost of ownership before you calculate whether the monthly payment fits your budget. Because a payment that fits your budget and the total cost that fits your financial life are two different evaluations that frequently produce different answers. The car that makes you look successful and the car that makes you financially successful are in most price ranges and most market conditions not the same vehicle. The person in the paid-off 2020 RAV4 is not driving that car because they can't afford more. In a significant number of cases, they're driving it because they ran the math on the Mercedes at the red light, the full math, not the monthly payment, and decided the story wasn't worth the price of admission. You can make the same decision. The math is available. The red light is just a red light, and the 40 seconds of attention from the driver next to you is not worth $67,000 in foregone compounding. It never was. The math in this video doesn't change based on what car you're currently driving. It just tells you what the next decision should look like. If this shifted something for you, subscribe. New video every week, same format. Real numbers, no vague advice. Drop the car you're currently driving in the comments. No judgment, just curious where people actually are.